Pretty much the big scale plan on the car is have another car for the team and get me out with the team too, so we can go to all these events stateside, local events as well too. Yeah, dude. So today we're at my casa, my pride and joy, my sick shop that I built for myself with my good friend Uncle Drew McLean. Uncle Drew, as me and all my good friends know him. Obviously, you guys know me. You see me a bit. We're here with my main man Jack, just chilling, working a bit this morning on this weird Porsche that's behind me that's carbon fiber. Drew brought his wagon by today because I think we're gonna go do some shreds in it. So we're gonna do a little once over on it. If you're local, you've probably seen it before. Now it's got a cool color. The other colorway was super cool. It was red before. It's always been sweet.
Depends on mindset.
Yeah, this one's flashy, like super flashy.
This one has a little more rice to it.
90s Miami Vice kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Rocking some sick Kansai wheels, Vibrant Performance, BC coilovers on it, sweet motor set. I know we're gonna get some more in-depth looks at it, but we might as well talk about Drew and how we kind of got into drifting. This isn't, I guess, like a normal kind of FDF style video. It's a little different pace than what we're normally doing. As you kind of know, if you watch the build series on the Corvette, I've been drifting with Josiah since like 2015, 2016 is when we really started getting into it. He had an S13 with like an RB25 in it, and then he threw all that out and was the big LS Poppy truck leader LS with like a big, Keenan had like the big boat like steering wheel, like a bus steering wheel on it, and just rowing gears at Shannonville. But that's kind of how I met Drew from drifting. I guess you can take it away a little bit, explain yourself, explain this sick unit.
So boats are more fun, FYI.
I still like boats. Boats are sick.
Yeah. Build motors for boats. It's more fun. First drifting love was an FC with an SR, stock SR. Very, very stock SR.
As long as the drain plug's in it.
Oops, that was an expensive track. So I want to say that was 2012. Was
it that long ago?
I put that together.
That's, I guess, when I first started going to drift events.
I moved back to Peterborough after university, and that was 2012 for me. Yeah. And so the summer of 2012, I put this thing together and started learning. This is the era of like cut knuckles. There was like one guy. I think it was Justin Pollock. Too. I think Justin Pollock was cutting knuckles in the Long Beach area. I was like, I think I can figure this out. And so made some jigs, did some iterations. It was fun. Like welded diff, Jover.
Yep.
I remember him introduced myself to him my first skid pad day. And he's in the car. He's like, fire, fire, fire. I'm like, no, man, it's just the exhaust. It stops like at the shifter. And that was like kind of the first bit. And honestly, his words of advice, like 11 years ago, are still what I would recommend to other people. Like, go in the car, drive as fast as you can, and figure out its limits at where it breaks. And I don't mean mechanically, I mean physically starts to loosen and slide. Just drive fast. And start with low horsepower.
Yeah, low horsepower BMWs, even 240s with the K8, even SRs is too much, I feel. Like SRs are sick, not too
stock
much.
SR turned up a little is a riot.
It's like you can shred second, no problem. And then I guess pretty much at that same time, I was stock BMW ripping. I had like a red stock BMW, 3-4 people deep. I remember taking Liam Stanford and his buddies out for like the first ride, and there's like 3 people in the back in your helmet. There's a video of you just like screaming in the back, like, Margie!
I'm like, Mike, let's load the seats, man. Let's go,
helmet's like clanking in the back seat.
More throttle, go faster.
Good times. And then, we kind of, MTC, we hung out with the French way too much, and the MTC guys at the time were crazy. Just all beige cars. All of them had 1J swaps. Felix, Mitch, and Roger, just bone stock, 1J VVTi, which comes in my Mark II, which is what's in my BMW, which is a little more spicy now, but like just a stock 1J. And those guys would just bring them up to like 265 degrees, hitting each other all day long.
meltdowns all day.
It was awesome.
15-inch, like scrapyard 195s all day.
And then I guess that's when we kind of like, we're like, okay, we're gonna, if we want to go up to that 300 horsepower is like, that's a 6 out of
Whopping.
350 back then was like, your car is a shredder.
So that is an important note. So yeah, the SR was originally in one of so Brad Carlton's FC, but it was before that. It was in, I think, an iteration of his S13 Pro car, and that was when he had it, like your standard recipe 2871 740cc. Brad can correct me, but a Pexi,
Classic.
very Japanese, like bolt-on kind of deal. But that was like your 300 wheel setup, and that was like pro level stuff.
Yeah, but then full builds kind of started, and then our buddy Sketchy Mitch Amiot,
Yes.
Mitchy's Speed Shop.
Yep.
He had his little shop not far from where we are now. Drew got a wagon from Dov at NV Auto, I think, who had it before, and it was stock BMW still, and we were still shredding the end of that year.
Yep.
And then the winter came, and then we're like, okay, I'm gonna take a 1J, put it in my BMW, made mounts and everything for it, and that was the first iteration of it. Got that all set up in there, and then you started caging this thing up with Mitch and turned this into like a Pro-Am car.
Keynote.
Oh.
This is paint.
Oh, yeah, I know.
This is paint.
Big paint guy.
Big paint. No, this is a sticker.
Yeah.
Designed by yours truly and Squirrely Mitchy.
90s solo cup.
Oh yeah. All right. All factory bolted, like unopened VVT 2J. Key part VVT. You gotta have the bump.
Yep.
It fills in the void.
Yep. Gives you that
Good
low
little
end.
torque.
Yep.
Like we've touched on before, very agricultural stuff.
Super
Big,
agricultural.
simple cast manifold.
It's got the big Cummins dog leg turbo.
Oh yeah, and then whole set HE 351. They're simple. A friend of mine's a whole set dealer, big into diesel stuff. So it was just like who I know, that kind of deal. Vibrant for this last iteration. They helped me out a bunch with cores. So did dual pass 12 by 12 2-inch thick oil cooler.
Big cooler.
Important, especially JZ's.
Yeah, that's the lifeline.
And then I made a new intercooler for this. And then like anything else, like all the stainless stuff and everything
refreshed
like that
all the
was,
piping.
Yeah, I had to remake this one. That one was actually from the first iteration, but this one I had to remake. BCs, back to the simplicity, truck coils,
Yeah,
like
I got
LS
lots
truck
of
coils.
those.
And I wish I remembered the details, but I had to, these spark plug
Are those
wires-
factory lengths
no,
from
they're-
something? Or did you
kinda.
make them?
No, I cut the ends off
Okay, I
and
was
then put
gonna
the
say, you definitely
LS
cut 'em.
ends. But these I think are off some like V6 Dodge.
Perfect.
I don't know, whatever it is, but it works, right? And then 1000cc injectors, vibrant hoses for the fuel side of things.
Mustang throttle body.
Oh, 4.6 Mustang throttle body, mod motor. But yeah, and then as far as like motor, fluid damper, main pulley. Like it's
Especially if you're banging limiter, you kind of want
It's-
to get that old
it's just cheap
20-year
insurance.
pulley out of there.
don't know what they cost now, but I mean $500 now is a lot cheaper than whatever JZ's cost now.
Oh yeah, it's painful.
And I was worried at the time 6 years ago.
And your rad hoses, which is like, yeah.
This is all
works.
M&C. This is all
That's the
Parker
hydraulic
Industrial.
fittings we were talking about.
They're not the prettiest,
No, they
but
were. Same with all the hoses. It's all like,
you're not gonna break them.
and it's all stuff you can get at the parts store, which is your big thing too when you're partying with the friends for the weekend. It's like everything and the belt length and everything. It's all stuff that it's like, I can go to Belleville quick and like get a part, or it's like we all owned trucks with those coils. So we
Scrapyard.
all our friends and us
Simple.
have 8 of them in a box waiting for a rainy day.
Absolutely. None of it is offshore.
Yeah. You made your own engine harness too and wired it up.
Yeah,
standalone that it's
wired
on.
it from scratch, one wire at a time. It's not the prettiest, but I've got schematics that I've actually drawn out, pre-planned. I gave Mike the printout.
Yeah, it's all
I'm like,
super
this
simple.
is the key. You can follow this. This is the entire car's
The recipe.
exact schematic for the car. Oh man.
How does stick get in there?
Oh man.
We just cleaned it. For the first time in like 3 years, it got clean.
Yeah, and there's sticks. So that's pretty much it for the front.
The ranch. Yeah, we can move on to the other best
can-
feature of the car. I'll close this down.
The weird iteration on this one was I bought a VVT 2J before I had the car.
Yeah, that was
and then
the
it
plan.
sat in the shop, and I was gonna put it in my FC, and I'm like, nah, straight 6 and FC.
FC had
does
also had
not.
two SR20s, went to a 350 small box Sunday driver that was like the rod knot capital, still
Well,
ripped
that
it.
was that was definitely my bad.
And then still did track day on it, and then put
Yep.
another one in it, and then it was like a lazy Sunday driver, and then I guess you kind of
Yep.
wanted a little more. Like, yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna retire the FC, and someone else bought it, and then this thing came afoot. And yeah, just kind of walk into the details of like you and Mitch slanging away on the cage.
Yeah, the important angle was the concept of this car and just drifting to any of us in general.
Yeah.
Was that it was skate parky.
Yeah, it was like going to the skate
It
park,
was
having
partying
fun.
with friends. It was a very loose and fast.
Boonies
like,
Bash was like
rowdy-
the thing at the time. Like 2 weekend
Out of
events.
hand.
Like these just came out. They're like, wait, we can stay at the track both days. We can drift Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, it got out of control.
So now this is 2015. I've always had a stinger for wagons.
Stinger.
I love wagons. I don't care what year. Station wagons are the best.
Touring.
I was like, what's better? I was like, I'd love a drifting station wagon. So this is like 2016-ish. But then I had picked up the 2J, and I'm like, I need more seats. I want to take friends. And so,
Because you always got all your friends lined up at the track. Like, can I get a ride? Can I get a ride? It's like,
Yeah.
well, if I can do 3 at a time, just keep
Yep.
rolling through them, and we can go for ice cream after. Easy.
you can always do that. Yeah, it was just kind of like one of those development. And I mean, the 4-seater thing, I think
was
that
only,
was
like,
when
one.
Forsberg built that
Yeah.
M45
It was the first
sedan.
iteration of it.
And that came out right around the same time I wanted to do this. So I don't remember order of operations. I don't know if it was completely influenced or in parallel. Just competition stuff is fun to test yourself, but that wasn't why I liked
Wasn't the
drifting.
focus. Same for me too.
And-
I wanted a cool street car. Like I always built stupid, low, unfunctional cars because I liked the JDM big body kit,
Yep.
stupid chrome wheels. That was my thing. So that's how I built my car. And Drew was like, as you can tell, he's very functional, he's very agricultural.
Some of it, yeah. Yeah, some of it I like simplicity, and this is very much a simplistic build.
Ooh, shiny.
And yeah. As far as aesthetics, it's a Panem kit that I had to cut up and actually fit from an M3. I know a lot of options now.
Yeah.
You can get sedan options and stuff like that. Well, an M3 kit does not fit on a regular sedan or wagon.
A little void here.
Well, there's the fenders, and then not to
Still
mention,
works.
there's like subtleties. Like I had to actually cut an inch out of each one because the actual body line, the rub rail body line, and everything is a different dimension.
Yeah.
So when you actually put them on the sedans, these actually hang down an inch lower.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of
there's a
differences
bunch of
between the
glass
coupe and
work
the
and stuff like
four-doors.
that that I had to do, and then obviously cut the door out. There are some updated options, but we're also talking 6 years ago.
Yeah, there's so many options for these now. With stock body looking stuff too. Whereas
Yeah.
this was the only real wide body option at the
Yep.
time. We took this section here is
Yep.
a factory wagon metal piece, and that's what we did for over fenders. We'd sacrifice an entire BMW, and I would just cut out the whole fender and we just rivet on another piece of the body. That's a 240 thing, but like they didn't have fenders for these things. So
Nope.
it's like that was our only option. Then you can kind of push it out that 15, 20 mil and give it that little extra playroom.
Yep. And then, or just 3 inches.
Just one.
But yeah, it's
Got a little bit of difference between where the wheel fits and the fender.
there is 3 inches of spacer on
Yeah,
this.
it's large.
Yeah. So hate on all of it. I've never lost a spacer. So that's kind of like the gist of it. I was like, no, I want this thing to go quick, but it's not insane. It's very attainable parts. When I built this, it was just me. Like
Yeah.
it was just me building it, and obviously a couple friends,
You
yourself,
with the help of some friends.
Mitch, like, and that's much of labor effort, like maybe areas of expertise. Like,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm gonna drop it off. You'll bang it at the exhaust a lot faster than I will. And
Ease
I
of
don't care
simplicity.
I don't care about laying on my back under jack
I enjoy
stands.
doing that. I don't want to swap a transmission for you at the shop
Yep.
where it's like you can do that.
And
Like, no problem.
so, yeah, that kind of thing. And Mitchie loved banging out cages. He was doing tons at the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take off a couple days off work, and we bang the whole thing out in 3 days.
Yeah, at his shop. Just
It's-
seeing the secondary rear main hoop, you're like, what's going on back there?
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing back there,
Well,
dude?
it's like, at that point, it's like, well, from the main hoop forward, that's easy.
Yeah, regular cage stuff.
From the main hoop back, it's like,
This isn't done.
We don't know where
this is like cage kits wasn't a thing. Like you, it's like,
no. Apart from the PMC, like the very first PMC JZ adapter kit, I've designed and machined everything on this car.
yeah, plumbing, hose fittings. It's all hydraulic. Like
It is, yeah.
from
A friend of
M&C
mine,
M&C hydraulic
Yeah.
and Peter row here
Yeah.
is all
Steve
Bobcat line.
McNulty, big hot rodder, like Chip
Yeah.
Foose level hot rodder, and he has a hydraulic business. And Steve definitely helped me out. And like at the time, I didn't have
There's a lot of plumbing
any
fittings.
machining equipment or anything like that, so he used to let me use the shop, and that was in the FC era too.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of it's very much like, okay, what can I build this with, and that kind of thing. And there was a lot of help and that kind of, but it was very much a private build. It wasn't like, you know, your Kansai, BC,
Yeah, this is way
Vibrant, that
past
kind of thing. That was after the car had already existed.
10 years ago, pretty much. Like
Well, the
almost.
FC side.
Yeah.
But this was 20. I'll double check on the date. I think it was 2017.
It's the first
is when
outing.
it was, yeah, when it was first real.
Yeah, we're bad with dates, so like, and none of this corresponds. Whatever.
Well, good.
But
Like 6
it's-
years ago.
Yeah.
That's when this wagon came to existence. So it's a treat. It's simple. It makes
good car.
appropriate noises.
It's reliable.
It's been to Grid Life a couple times. In its red 300 horse era,
yeah, big grid life.
there's guys at Grid Life that would cruise by the pits. Oh man, how much power does this thing make? I'm like, 300 all day. Oh, so it's stock. I'm like, well,
Pretty
not
much,
quite, but I mean like.
Drew runs within the limits. I test limits.
I definitely find the boundaries of the track.
Yeah, yeah. A couple hay bales. Whereas I'm just mechanical punishment. It, just
It was,
kinda happens.
you know, I very much like tried to strategize a lot of it, but simplistic. And there's lots of stuff that were total bucket list items. Like, oh, I'd really like to redo that. I'd like to test this. But I mean, like, it worked really well.
It works so good.
And
it still
so
works so good. Like,
It's just one of those things that, like, kind of bucket list.
and we snowball stuff. It's like, that's the thing. Just like
Yep.
any of my things, it's like if I start, I know myself good enough now. If I do one thing like that, and even you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do the rad hoses. I'm gonna update them.
Yep.
No, you're not. It's not. And like it's just gonna snowball. And it's because we were just like, while we are there, we might as well. Because that's
Yep.
the attitude that we take
Yep.
towards stuff. So it just, you end up with
Yep.
Josiah's car, and it's just like,
So
mental.
I'll hop in the back. You
Yeah,
get
for
a tour
sure.
of the front.
So, so as far as accessibility and whatnot, it's very much like we were talking before. Main hoop forward is very much a kind of a standard cage. Got some NASCAR door bars, just to give a little more space. It had to be a little tighter to actually be able to fit people in the back too.
Comfortably, like it's actually like Josiah would fit back here too. I'm 6 foot.
Mitchie's
Like, we got-
6'5", he fits.
And like, yeah, Mitchie and Josiah are probably like pretty
Lanky.
much the same length.
Oh, yeah.
Individuals, and yeah, there's lots of room, and these are really wide buckets too. I'm like a 32 waist, and it's like I can move. Whereas, and I hop in a lot of buckets where I'm like, oh my god, I can't even move
It did have a stereo in here.
because you got to play Nickelback, right?
I do love my Chad and ramen hair.
big disturb stain.
True Canadian spirit though. As far as up here, it's pretty normal, and I don't want to downplay it, but I mean it's very much what you would expect for something with a cage. I don't want to say it's very normal grassroots because then that would be downplaying effort and involvement in building a vehicle. This is not a grassroots car, but it's very much a fun, like upped ante kind of toy.
It's where it started, was in the grassroots. And
Yeah,
this is
very
what-
much.
Where you kind of ended it.
Yep. And so yeah, as far as Mike sitting in the back,
So comfy back here.
it's a strange cage. We could have done it slightly different.
Needs some nice steel.
Sometimes you
That's what it
flop. Well, that'd be all right. That would tidy it up pretty good.
I love it. Love
So-
that stuff.
But yeah, the key aspect was a firewall as well, because that'll lead us to the back, which is a rear rad.
And there's a big metal firewall underneath the plexiglass, so you can actually kind of see out the back still.
So we might as well just go around back and
Yeah, we'll hop
and have
out.
a look at the back. like financially with this build, it was very much like restraint and obviously lots of angles. Yeah, no, and it's all like attainable parts.
Yeah.
Very much like your ZF gearbox, the PMC stuff.
Affordable transmission, affordable adapters,
Like $300 transmission at the time, and they're good.
reliable, hold good power. They last
Yep.
a long time. It can obviously, everything can be updated to certain things, but for how this car is set up for what it makes, and it's still, I still feel in the future, it should only still make 450. Like it's more than enough to do everything you need to do in it. They're grippy. It'll compete with the majority of people. If you want to compete, it can hold its own with some pro cars, which it has in the past, like as it was even at the 300 horsepower range. Pro cars are a little spicier now.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But same thing. It's not made also for that. It's more made to just be having fun with people and give people a taste. And it's like, I guarantee you this car itself has gotten, like, just like even my stock cars when we took people out, it's like what gets people hook, line, and sinker. Like it gets them bit and they're just like, oh, okay, I want this. And then you talk to the owners, like, and I also try and like word stuff to people. It's like, you have to do it all yourself as much as you can. You find people to help you out, but like, that's the only way I can do the stuff I do now is because I like took on the challenge and kept pushing myself in certain areas with it, which I guess is also what you kind of do now. Like this car is not reached its potential, but for what you're willing to do to it. Huge boat guy now. Again, I like boats too, but not as much as this guy. He's into fast boats, leisurely boats.
I like weird stuff though.
old boats.
So this was never a normal concept, right? Station wagons, nah.
I think that's pretty normal.
That's slightly out of the norm kind of thing. Like, yeah, and I won't go too much detail, but like the boat, the Checkmate,
Yeah.
is not a normal thing.
Yeah.
The whole speedboat community will tell you that that boat cannot do 80 mile an hour.
Don't tell him he can't do something.
And-
That's the thing too.
And that motor can't be built.
You can't put 4 seats in that.
So there's,
Watch me.
but there's, it is a bit of a hold my beer. I do like that. I like a bit of a challenge. But
Especially when people say you can't do something.
I can't do
Josiah is also the same. And
I
that's
can't
why
do that.
I also jive really good. I like working with all the FDF guys, like everyone who's there. Same with Dylan and just Dylan, Cam, Rain. I'm gonna forget. I'm not even gonna try and list everyone. Kyle, I guess. Jack too. That's what's awesome about hanging out with everyone there. It's all a lot of like-minded people who just want to constantly push the envelope in their own boundaries, and that's what I like. That's the whole point of doing all this stuff, and that's why you've also moved on to other things, and this thing's kind of not been on a hiatus. It's just been chilling in the enclosed trailer for like 2 years just because no real intrigue to go to events and stuff. It's just priorities too. It's like you're also not gonna like, if you've invested a lot of money into like your speedboating now, you're not like, I'm gonna go drop a bunch of money on the drift car. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yep. I'm always tinkering, thinking about something. I want to change something or like just work on things. Now the boat side has really like designed engine parts.
Yeah, it's
and,
pushed
like,
your boundaries,
It's like,
right?
ooh, we're gonna do stuff that's not normal.
Bought a 3D scanner now, and you're like developing your own heads like for your V6. Like you're way more into that than you were into the aspects of this. Doesn't mean that you don't like cars.
It was just a progression, and
which is good. That's what you need.
yeah,
to
I just
do.
kind of fell out a bit of, not out of love entirely, but it was just kind of like stale. I probably forgot how to drive.
No, I don't think so. We're gonna test that theory. I think.
Wham bam, thank you.
I already pulled the pins out.
So we're probably gonna get drilled on, but so it's very much gutted trunk. It's not the prettiest, but simple stock car, like off the shelf rad. This has been iteration 2. Originally, it was just one of these guys and a single pass rad. So then I modified the rad, made it a dual pass, and then just put together a shroud for 2 fans.
The rocket booster, dude.
It's something. it moves some air, but yeah, it's NBC's in the back.
Yep.
There are actually some FDF camber arms on the back.
Dude, Jack, you got to get under. He's got the new FDF arms on it. I've seen that, and some hay.
And I'm sure there's some, yeah.
And there's some hay under there still. Oops.
But yeah, it's not trying to downplay, but I mean, of what it is very simple for like what's
Stock
going
fuel
on.
tank too.
Yeah,
Forgot that.
it is stock fuel tank as well. It's in a good spot, so why move it?
It's a saddle tank. It's really good for the weight distribution too,
Yeah,
right?
and it holds lots of fuel. So
And you can definitely change the placement of the rear rad setup, but again, the fuel tank does make it sensible. It's tucked up. It leaves lots of room in the back, because even when you looked under their jacket, it's super easy to work on this thing still with no trunk. It's crazy what happens when you take the trunk out of stuff.
So then as far as underneath, which there's lots of battle scars and whatnot. Machined all solid bushings and everything like that. There's no rubber in the entire driveline, including an unsprung spec clutch. So it's different, but it's it just takes like I changed my driving habits when I built this because I didn't want to replace a lot of parts. And yeah, so like instead of like that violent clutch stab, you do just load it and then it'll slip it if you really need to. But most of the time you don't have to.
Yeah.
Just go in lots of speed, flick it, grab some handbrake if you want. Sometimes you get lazy and grab that, but the correction stick. It's been fun for many years. So it's brought a lot of smiles. So
Made his own handle, made his own base, and we're just gonna apply the same thing. We're just gonna now take another crazy mind and apply it to this and just bring it up to another tier along with my fabrication and his and the minds of everyone in the shop, get input from everyone. What do you want to do on it, Jack? Like we can do anything to it, right? As you can see, it's a canvas. It is literally a rolling canvas.
it's lots of surface area to mess with.
Yeah.
Plaster with names.
Names and just make it your own too, right? It's
Yep.
just an open canvas to kind of let your mind go wild on with something that's already an awesome starter point. I think we're going to the FDF Drift Day at Shannonville tomorrow, and that's the plan. We did a little bit of cleanup on the old girl, took some hay bales out of her, cleaned out a bunch of rubber out of it. We're gonna pull it into the shop and lift it up and kind of look at and just go through everything.
Sounds like a corporate car.
It is. It is. Take out the people can fly in and take a ride. You know, this is where your money's at. Wow, the return on investment is unreal.
Fantastic. I remember taking like numerous people for rides at Grid Life, and they get out like vibrating.
Yeah,
Like there's
stoke.
because that's worth it. And
Yeah.
that is like there's some pictures too, and it's like you cannot describe like the antics. Like it is
It's always a good time. It's 100%
Yeah.
always a good time, and it's always more fun with more people.
Yep.
And that's why, again, our style of drifting has always been like the skate park, going having fun with friends.
Yep.
And the competition aspect is also fun because you do push yourself, which we kind of also talked about. It's for Josiah's this weekend. He's getting some doors and some cash out at Riverside, hopefully. Bring home some bank for the new unit, because that's kind of our plan, because he has some high-end. This is a high-end car too. I don't mean that derogatory.
It's grassroots.
This is a grassroots,
Actually, no,
fun-having car where his cars are on a more pro scale, obviously, that are engineered to win.
Yep.
And hopefully bring home some money, bring home some hardware, some nice trophies. And that's kind of our plan with the car. Well, it's been my plan. I've been really just pushing it on him because it's a good idea. Like, he needs some Jay-Z in his life. Comment if you also agree with that. Big inline. I like everything. I also like a big fat V8. Don't get me wrong. But I've always been a Jay-Z inline six guy. I know Drew's a big Jay-Z guy. We're gonna get him. He's gonna be like, man, this is
Six
so
in a row.
good.
It's the way
His
to go.
power band's so smooth. He's just gonna be like, what's that? But it's no, man.
But-
you don't need to do that. You can just like
I will
have
say
a good time.
this turbo and everything like that makes very appropriate amount of torque.
Yeah, it's linear.
And so that's like a misconception with a lot
It's
of it.
pretty much a V8, so he's gonna love it. I think he's gonna love it. I don't think he's gonna have a bad time driving it. I'm a pretty tall guy. He's taller than me. Still room to move the seat back. Obviously, we're gonna go through some stuff on it. We definitely want to get this thing a full new age update, and we want to do a full build on it with my skill set, his skill set. Obviously, gonna get a little bit of Drew's input involved too. That's the whole part of having fun with these cars, getting everybody's input and involved in it. We want to embrace what it is and build up on it, not kind of get rid of what it was, right? So build up on the good that's on it, update it. Yeah, and pretty much the big scale plan on the car is have another car for the team and get me out with the team too, so we can go to all these events stateside, local events as well too. Whereas, and again, this weekend, Josiah's competing out in Indiana. So I think it's like 13 hours from here, him and his dad and all the boys, Kyle working on the car. Pat's out there too. So yeah, there's more people just coming on team, and it's a team with a dream. So that's where I'm at too. I want to be people with like-minded ideas and visions. I want to keep pushing the envelope and be bigger than I ever thought I could be. And same for him. It's the same kind of vision. I think this is a good tool to do that with. Get a lot more people involved at the drift days. We can get some more merch, get some raffles. We can do anything. The potential is endless. Get all the team sponsors who are already on board with Josiah and the program and get them onto this car and just add it as another piece to the program, right? another incentive to be able to represent the teams that make this dream kind of happen. Especially with Jack on board, the content killer, man. This guy is insane with what he puts out. Like, I know Dylan already has some sick ideas of stuff he wants to play with E46. The E46 chassis is pretty relevant, especially in FD, Pro-Am, grassroots. It is a super achievable, capable chassis. I know Josiah already has some super awesome products already in simulation on this thing. And yeah, I think it'll be awesome in that sense.
No shortage of smiles though.
No, ice cream.